That's these were the most fantastical, and most intriguing characters that I ever read, that inspired even further reading for me. And I was really happy to see them see them being told in the way that they should be in your book. Which stories were most interesting to you?
That's just about the worst question to ask, because it's almost like asking which child is your favorite child. I will say I am partial to trickster stories as well, because
Yeah.
like you said, there is something just very human about them, right? I mean, colonialism and all of that was just awful, but just when it happened, you had Europeans at one of the most repressive and restricted eras of their times coming up against the, you know, open, ebullient, dynamic cultures of the world, not just the African continent, and then taking these rigid frameworks and just imposing them on these cultures. Trickster figures in not just African folklore, in folklore from around the world. Trickster figures were meant to be these a way by which people came to terms with the trade-offs and the negotiations that they had to make with life. They emerged from the understanding that things are not always so cut and dried, black and white, right? A situation where doing something one way would be the right thing to do. You put it in another context, and so these trickster figures, one of the main roles they played was spoon with a hole in it to mix things better, but they offered people a way they could make sense of the world while still maintaining balance. And so then you entered, European explorers, missionaries who came with that rigid Christian idea of right or wrong, settle a bit more comfortably into the human experience, became this source of strife, right? Became this source of strife. Because you can imagine in a situation where a person found themselves having to make a hard judgment call, we got robbed of these ways that we had developed to help us make sense of life. And even more, you had, the idea of a supreme being in the African context is this all-pervading entity, right? Sky-based, but then that's only because the sky is everywhere at the same time, So not sky-based in the sense of a God in heaven. God is everywhere. Everything under heaven literally is everything.
Present.
But, it's not just in the sky, it's under, it's in the stones. These are all emanations of this supreme being. But then in the case of Modimo, one, it's a little disturbing how often that happened. And, kind of speaks to the presumption of, the colonial enterprise, which I'm not going to start